Chapter 1: The Awakening. Before time, there was nothing. Not darkness, not silence, only potential. An ocean of stillness that had never known a wave. For an endless moment, everything waited. No stars, no sound, no heartbeat, only the quiet breath before creation. Then, from that stillness, a whisper. A shimmer of energy smaller than a grain of dust. It trembled, and the universe exhaled. Light burst forth, spreading in all directions, rolling outward like the first tide on a shore of eternity. You drift within that light, weightless, timeless. Every atom that will ever exist rushes past you in glowing ribbons. Hydrogen, helium, the seeds of stars yet unborn. The expansion continues faster than thought, a blooming flower of energy unfolding across the newborn void. There is no up, no down, only everywhere growing. The heat is unimaginable, 1 trillion suns in a single breath. Yet within that fire lies harmony, a rhythm the universe will follow forever. As the energy spreads, it cools, and from the chaos, the first pattern begins to form. Matter gathers to matter, a quiet, magnetic yearning pulling everything together. You feel it. The slow pulse of gravity, the invisible heartbeat of creation. It hums beneath you, through you, around you, a deep cosmic note that never ends. Now, light begins to travel freely, filling the endless dark with a soft amber glow. It is the universe's first sunrise. Photons dance through the newborn expanse, painting golden clouds that stretch beyond imagination. You watch as time itself begins to breathe, a steady rhythm, gentle and infinite. Each second unfolds like a petal. Each moment drifts calmly into the next. Billions of years will pass before the first stars ignite, but here, now, in the hush of the beginning, you are part of the great unfolding. Tiny particles collide and merge, forming the first whispers of matter. Hydrogen atoms swirl together like luminous mist, spinning slowly in the quiet wind of creation. You drift through them, feeling their warmth brush softly against your skin. They do not yet know what they will become. Stars, planets, oceans, and dreams. But the promise is already there. The cosmos is still young, still glowing with gentle fire. It cradles you like an ancient lullaby, the hum of existence surrounding every thought. Far away, though distance has no meaning here, energy ripples outward in silent waves. Each ripple carries the memory of this beginning. It will echo forever in the background of time. A faint song scientists will one day hear and call the cosmic microwave whisper. But tonight it is simply peace, the soft hum of everything becoming. Let your breath match that rhythm. Slow, even, unhurried. You are drifting inside the first dream the universe ever had. And as the light fades to a quiet golden haze, you rest within it, calm, weightless, eternal. Chapter 2. The First Light. From the dark fabric of nothingness, light was born. Not a flash, not a trumpet, not a sudden shout, but a glow shy and uncertain, like the very first ember discovered in a cold, moonless forest. Hydrogen gathered as mist gathers in valleys, delicate and everywhere. Helium followed, pairing with it like two hands learning how to hold. They did not know what they were becoming, not yet. They only knew they were drawn together, pulled by an invisible promise. The universe was still young enough to be quiet. There were no constellations, no orbits, no maps. Only a great, soft ocean of possibility, expanding in every direction, as if the cosmos had taken its first breath and could not stop breathing out. And then, in that quiet sea, pressure gathered like a secret. Atoms collided again and again in endless, patient repetition, until the repetition became heat, and heat became fire. The first stars ignited. They were not small. They were vast, their hearts so hot they could unmake the very molecules that fed them. They roared, and the darkness didn't argue. It simply stepped aside and made room. Those stars shone with purpose. They weren't merely flames suspended in emptiness. They were furnaces, patient workshops, where matter was taught to dream itself into new forms. Inside those blazing cores, hydrogen fused into helium, then into carbon, oxygen, neon. The alphabet of worlds, letter by letter. They were teachers, those first sons, and their lessons were simple. Everything can become more than it is if given time, pressure, and the right kind of warmth. For a long while, longer than the life of mountains, longer than the memory of any sea that would ever exist, they burned in silence. The young universe exhaled. They inhaled. The rhythm was not hurried. It never is when the work is important. Each star lived a life measured in eons. A heartbeat for them could last 1,000,000 years, a blink 10 million more. They did not rush. They did not need to. When at last they grew old, when the fuel that had warmed them and held them together began to thin like autumn light, the stars did not vanish with a whisper. They ended as teachers often do, with a final, beautiful lesson. They exploded not with anger but with generosity, casting outward everything they had forged inside themselves. Carbon leapt into the dark. Iron and nickel took flight like birds startled from tall grass. Gold went tumbling out into the black. Calcium followed, a future shell and future bone waiting to be born. Do not fear their ending. It is not destruction, it is distribution. It is the way the universe shares its gifts. Their remnants sailed outward for millions of years, cooling into delicate dust. Dust that would gather, dust that would cling, dust that would one day sleep on the surface of a planet and wake inside a living eye. You carry some of that dust. It is in your blood, in your teeth, in the quiet mineral of your bones. When you hold your breath, a star remembers what it was like to burn. When you exhale, the cosmos learns again how to let go. Between those early suns was distance, vast, aching distance. But the darkness between them was not empty. It was full of waiting. It was full of the unspent future. New stars lit one by one, constellations that had no names yet, symphonies that had not yet found ears. In each one, the same patient work continued. Hydrogen to helium, helium to heavier elements, heat becoming light, light becoming memory. Imagine drifting there, far beyond the reach of any world, surrounded by these first fires. No sound, no gravity tugging at your feet. Only the subtle hum of light, the gentle pressure of radiation, like warm hands on the surface of your skin. You turn slowly, and the stars turn with you, because there is no up or down, no near or far, only depth and brightness, only distance counted in years. A newborn sun swells before your eyes, its surface a rolling ocean of flame, magnificent and purposeful. It does not apologize for its power. It simply is, a fact like time, like gravity, like the need to breathe. Around it, the debris of its own beginning swirls like a halo. Stone and ice, crystal and dust. A rough sketch of a future solar system. You can almost see the outlines of circular paths as yet unborn, the promise of order in the clatter of particles. Far away, another star dies, and for a moment, the sky remembers noon. A veil of gold spreads across a patch of black, and the darkness blooms with scattered jewels. Elements that will not see a planet for 1 billion years, but are already patient, already willing to become useful. The first light did not simply brighten the universe. It gave the universe agenda. It wrote verbs into the grammar of reality, to fuse, to form, to become. Clouds of gas learned to gather. Gravity learned to trust itself. Matter learned that it could build itself into engines, into cores, into radiant hearts, and afterward into ash, into dust, into possibility again. Every ember becomes a cinder, every cinder becomes soil, and from soil things rise. Across distances you cannot imagine, the light from those first fires is still traveling. It passes through you now, older than every story on earth, carrying with it the soft rumor of the beginning. If you close your eyes, you might feel it. A faint warmth on the inside of your thoughts, not hot enough to burn, only bright enough to guide. The first light was patient. It accepted every delay, every detour, every dark corridor. It understood something we so often forget, that becoming takes time. There is a place in you still lit by that first glow. A quiet room where you do not need to hurry, a window that opens onto a very ancient morning. You can stand there as long as you like. No one will ask you to leave. When you breathe in, you borrow from the same universe that fed those suns. When you breathe out, you return what you do not need, and the cosmos uses it to make something else. This exchange has never stopped. It will not stop tonight. Rest here. Let the memory of those early fires loosen your shoulders, soften your jaw, steady your pulse. There is light enough for you. There has always been light enough for you. And as you drift, imagine one more star kindling at the very edge of sight. A late spark, a final candle lit in a vast cathedral. It burns with quiet dignity. It does its work without a sound, and then, when its work is done, it gives everything it has made back to the world. That is the shape of the first light. It is also the shape of rest. Let it hold you. Let it last as long as you need. Chapter 3. The Dance of Galaxies. Gravity was the first to wake, not with thunder or command, but as a whisper, a promise murmured through the dark. Invisible yet absolute, it began to gather what light had scattered. Particles felt its pull, dust curved toward dust, and the great cosmic loom began to weave. From that gentle tension, patterns emerged. Soft whirls of gas, long rivers of glowing matter, clouds folding into ribbons that curled upon themselves. Those ribbons brightened, turning and twisting in slow delight, until their motion defined their shape. They became the first galaxies, immense spirals, silent and perfect. Each galaxy was a lantern floating on a cosmic tide. Some gathered in clusters like families at dusk. Others drifted alone, carrying their starlight across impossible distances. Within their arms, billions of suns pulsed in rhythmic grace, each one holding its own retinue of worlds and moons. Seen from afar, their combined glow resembled living coral, a reef of stars stretching through black water. When galaxies met, They did not collide like stones. They brushed like dancers exchanging partners. Their spiral arms tangled stars migrating from one to another, dust clouds merging in luminous embraces that lasted eons. Where they crossed paths, new stars ignited, new stories began. The cosmos was no longer chaos. It had become choreography. Filaments of light stretched between the clusters, delicate threads in a cosmic web. From a distance, the universe resembled a vast neural map, a mind thinking itself into being. Every pulse of radiation was a spark of awareness. Every rotation a sentence written in motion. Galaxies spun for billions of years, their centers heavy with invisible mass, mysteries that would one day be called black holes. They were not empty. Inside, entire suns circled the abyss, caught yet unharmed, their light bent into perfect arcs. Out here, distance had no meaning. The space between two galaxies could hold every history ever lived, and still there would be room for silence. If you floated among them, you'd see tides of starlight flow like slow rivers. You'd hear nothing, not because sound was gone, but because silence itself had become sacred. Now and then, a supernova would flare, a brief punctuation of brilliance. Then quiet again, the page turning, the sentence continuing. Billions of rotations, billions of breaths, and somewhere in one modest spiral arm of one ordinary galaxy, a star prepared to build a small blue world. The dance never ended. It only changed tempo. Gravity led, and everything followed. Chapter 4: The Birth of Worlds. Around newborn suns, rings of dust circled like halos. At first they were chaos, grains colliding, shattering, reforming. But gravity has patience. Over ages beyond counting, it pressed those grains together, until pebbles formed, then boulders, then continents adrift in nothing. Each collision left scars of heat, cracks filled with glowing rock. The air was fire. The light was amber and red. These were worlds in infancy. Lava oceans, molten skies, mountains collapsing before they finished rising. Comets rained down water and carbon. Meteor dust sowed metals and minerals. From destruction came chemistry. From heat, the promise of warmth. In time, the surfaces cooled. Clouds gathered, storms marched across endless plains. Lightning wove silver veins through the clouds, teaching the air how to breathe. Rain fell for the first time. Each drop hissed as it struck the rock, steam rising like incense into a new sky. The seas spread outward mirrors catching their parent stars. Tides rolled in long before moons existed to guide them. Continents cracked and drifted. Volcanoes whispered their secrets into the wind. Rivers carved the first veins of memory across the stone. Some planets froze under pale suns, others burned too bright to rest. A few found perfect balance, their orbits gentle, their tilt forgiving, their days long enough for light, their nights cool enough for dreaming. On one such world, oceans shimmered blue, and islands rose from steaming seas. For millions of years, there was only weather, the play of wind and wave, the quiet practice of repetition. Yet repetition is creation's favorite tool. Each storm rearranged the shorelines. Each sunrise refined the temperature. Minerals dissolved elements met by chance, and chance, when given eternity, becomes intention. Mountains eroded into fertile dust. The dust slipped into the sea. The sea mixed it with warmth. Inside that warmth, a single molecule made a decision to hold on to itself. It was a small, silent act, but from it, everything followed. The world turned. Seasons settled into rhythm. Snow fell on mountaintops that would one day be oceans again. Elsewhere in the cosmos, other planets spun, each testing a different recipe. Some failed quickly, others waited patiently for the right moment. But on this one, the chemistry was right. The gravity gentle, the star steady. Storms subsided, skies cleared, the planet exhaled. Silence returned, not emptiness, but readiness. Everything that would ever crawl, swim, fly, or gaze upward was already present in trace amounts hidden within that patient sea. The birth of a world is not an instant. It is a conversation between matter and time. Each asks the other to stay a little longer, to listen a little more closely. The result is a planet that can dream. Chapter 5: The Song of Life. Beneath the newborn seas, the first whispers began. Not voices, not yet, but rhythms. Tiny chemical songs repeating in the dark, learning, echoing, refining themselves through time. The sea was not quiet. It shimmered with invisible movement. Molecules swayed like dancers in a dream, bumping, clinging, breaking apart, trying again and again until something stayed. And when something stayed, it grew. A pattern formed. It wrapped itself in protection, curled inward as if afraid of its own potential. Then lightning struck the sea. Energy met curiosity, and life, startled by its own reflection, took its first breath. At first, there was only repetition, dividing, merging, floating toward warmth, hiding from cold. These tiny architects of the future learned how to make decisions without thought, how to turn sunlight into food, how to carry memory within the tiniest of spaces. Time passed not in years, but in tides. Each wave a new generation, each ripple a lesson written in salt. The sea became a library, every drop a page filled with invisible handwriting. Then one day, life reached too high. It brushed against air. It coughed, then it adapted. And what had once belonged only to the sea crawled upon the shore, carrying with it the songs of the ocean floor. The land felt strange beneath its touch, rough, unpredictable, but full of promise. Forests followed, spreading green across the continents. Roots stitched soil into stability. Rain learned how to nourish instead of destroy. The air filled with sighs and murmurs, leaves in wind, water in streams, a slow orchestra of renewal. From the canopy to the caves, the planet began to hum with rhythm again, the same rhythm that had once moved in the oceans. The creatures appeared, shells, wings, scales, and skin, each one a verse in the song of survival, each breath a reminder that existence was still learning. Some sang by light, others whispered in the dark, some devoured, others created, but all moved to the same ancient pulse, a melody written long before memory began. And above it all, the stars watched. They blinked in patterns that matched the heartbeat of the planet, as if the universe itself was keeping time. Life did not stop. It branched and twisted, climbing through epochs, rebuilding itself after every catastrophe. The dinosaurs came, their thunder echoing across endless plains. Then silence returned, as if the earth had taken a long, deep breath. From that silence, new shapes emerged, smaller, lighter, more curious. Eyes learned to see beauty, hands learned to shape tools, and voices learned to tell stories. The universe was hearing itself for the first time through the mouths of its own creation. And though it didn't know it, the cosmos was learning to dream. Chapter 6: The Eternal Night. Now, imagine the stars again, the great patient lights of the night sky, each one a story that began long before memory, each one waiting for you to remember its name. Their glow drifts through the void, crossing distances so vast that even light forgets its origin, and yet here it is softly brushing your skin, a traveler finally home. The air is calm, the edges of your thoughts begin to fade. You are no longer a listener. You are a constellation in the making. Far away, galaxies turn like lanterns in the dark. They hum with ancient purpose, spinning slowly, deliberately, as if every rotation were a prayer. You can feel their gravity now. The pull is not strong, but gentle, like being remembered by something older than time. The fabric of space breathes with you. Inhale, the stars brighten. Exhale, the galaxies drift apart. Even silence has a sound here, a low, comforting hum beneath perception, the pulse of creation still alive and steady. Imagine yourself floating weightless between worlds. Below you, a planet turns slowly, its clouds glowing silver under the touch of a distant sun. Above you, the dark is not empty. It is full of waiting light. You begin to understand that night is not the absence of day. It is the universe resting, gathering strength for the next dawn. Breathe in that stillness. Let it reach into every part of you. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the cosmos, a quiet synchronization, the sound of alignment. You drift through a cluster of stars, their light bending and shimmering through invisible waves. They whisper to each other ancient songs of arrival and return. If you listen closely, you can almost hear them singing to you, a lullaby written in light. Each note reminds you, you are not lost, you are not small, you are part of everything that has ever been. Your mind begins to dissolve into the quiet glow around you. Memories drift away like leaves on a slow river. You are not thinking anymore. You are remembering, the deeper remembering that lives beneath thought. You remember the warmth of stars before they were born. You remember the shape of silence before sound existed. And somewhere beyond even this vast awareness, you feel the pulse of the very first heartbeat, the universe's own beginning. It is still there, still echoing, softly repeating the rhythm that began everything. That rhythm is within you, always was, always will be. Now the stars begin to fade, not disappearing, only dimming so your own light can shine through. The galaxies slow their dance. Their spirals loosen into stillness. Everything has become calm again. There is no motion, no destination, only peace. You drift downward now, as if the night itself is guiding you home. A soft surface waits. Not ground, not sky, something in between. It catches you, holds you, and lets you rest. You are surrounded by a velvet darkness, warm and infinite. There is nothing left to do, no past to remember, no future to reach for, only the gentle presence of now. Each breath pulls you deeper into comfort. Each exhale releases the noise of the waking world. If a thought arrives, it floats past like stardust, noticed, then gone. If a sound reaches you, it is only the echo of creation breathing beside you. You are safe here. You are home. The universe hums a final quiet note, a single vibration that stretches through eternity. It moves through you, and you surrender to it completely. You are the star returning to its source. You are the silence between the galaxies. You are the calm after creation. Rest now, traveler among the stars. The journey is complete, but the dream continues. Sleep deeply, drift endlessly. The cosmos will keep your light safe until morning.